All right, welcome back from that break. A beautiful conversation at our Abuja Network studio. Away from there, this is the Lagos Network Center, and my name is Daniel Praise Osedebame. Now, today we are looking at creating the opportunities, the role of skill acquisition in shoemaking and leatherwork in economic growth. Now, in a world where skill acquisition has become a cornerstone for personal and national development, I beg your pardon, the importance of trades such as shoemaking and leatherwork cannot be overemphasized. Now, this craft not only preserve cultural heritage but also offer lucrative opportunities for individuals and communities alike. As we review the impact of National Craft Week, we are joined by Deacon Matthew Ahirobo, Ambassador of Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan and Facilitator, Mahio Shoemaking Directorate, Nigeria. He's joining us live from Benin City, Edo State. Good morning, Deacon Matthew, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, DPO. Good morning, Nigeria. It's my great delight to be with you this morning.
We sincerely appreciate you. Thank you for coming through. Now, can you explain why skill acquisition is crucial in today's economy, particularly for young people?
Skill acquisition is from the word entrepreneurship, by way of creating value, pulling resources together to make an impact of what the society needs. It is very, very important so that you do not become dependent to other nations for your survival. You must add value to your raw materials, to your natural resources, so that you can make ends meet and satisfy the local economy. This is very, very important in times like this because in the time of global crisis, global economic meltdown, you need to sustain the local economy so that you be not dependent. And that is to say, there are those things that we are endowed with, whether in Africa, in Europe, in all nations of the earth. There are those natural resources God has made with man. So entrepreneurship teaches you how you add value to these things to turn them into finished product for consumption. And you go by way of extension when you sell to other nations to make foreign earnings, and that is to balance trade in the international community. Skill acquisition is very, very important, and it is the bedrock for industrialization for any economy. Because without skill acquisition, you will not be able to do those things that will make you stand out as a nation. And these natural resources is not equitably distributed in all nations of the earth. And that is why you must have comparative advantage. Those things you are good at, where you have competitive edge, where other nations will not come to you, and you go to them, by way of, it all starts from barter, giving what you have to get what you don't have. And because it is not it's not a sustainable and a means of valuable exchange, that is why you now have currency, where you convert. Every nation has their own currency. You convert it, to exchange for goods
All
and
right,
all of
Deacon
that.
Matthew.
So,
Deacon Matthew, let's quickly go further now. What unique benefit does shoemaking and leatherwork have compared to other skills and crafts?
shoemaking, beyond preserving heritage, just like you mentioned in your introduction, it gives aesthetics to fashion. Dressing with the corporate identity, cultural identity, and of preservation of the food also. From the food anatomy, the appearance of the food, you must design what will protect the food when you walk, on the road. And that is very, very crucial. Beyond other trades are important, just like shoemaking is also important. And we must look inward, especially for Nigeria, because the shoemaking profession, we've had our own share of crisis rising from animal husbandry. We talk about cattle rearing, farmers and others crashes and all of that. We must harness the potential in animal husbandry so that we can get the natural resources behind and skin that is the raw material for processing of a leather product, be it a belt, bag, and shoemaking. So it is very, very important. It complements the garment industry. It complements every other industry that are of a necessity to man. Shoemaking is very, very crucial because before now, people tend to look at it as a profession for the women. But with what we have done in those states and in Nigeria, we've been able to redefine the narrative to let people know that it is somewhat you can get livelihood from and make ends meet. I'm also looking at the industrialization that we are engaging with the federal government now. Not just too long, the federal government of President Muhammadu, the federal government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
Tinubu.
led by His Excellency, he has projected $2 billion, in the next 5 years of this country to be injected into the leatherworks industry. Just last week here, we were in Lagos State to begin the Southwest inauguration of this project of $100 million. And we are looking at those states, to take the lead in the South for us to domesticate this investment, to build an investment processing zone, in all the senatorial, in all the geopolitical regions of the state, so that we can not just sustain the local market, but we will get foreign earnings, because by the time we do proper finishing packaging of our product, we'll be able to sell abroad, get foreign earnings, balance our payment deficit, and correct the problems we are having as a nation of increasing national debt, both local and foreign,
So
and all of that. So
talking about earnings, how does skill acquisition in shoemaking contribute to personal development and financial independence, especially among the younger generation?
you see, by the grace of God, I'm leading the leatherworks development in University of Benin and in Benin University, where we engage the students in their penultimate year in skill acquisition. You won't believe me to see that in just 2 weeks to 3 months of training, these students have started making footwear, selling to their classmates, to staffs of the institution, and making ends meet. Shoemaking from the micro perspective, because in economic development, it has to do with the micro, small, and medium enterprise development. From the macro analysis, the individual, add value to those materials, like I said, because God has blessed us with natural resources in all the states of Nigeria. There are those things like the hind and skin we get from animal husbandry, by the time they are refined, we convert them to footwear, to leather belt, to bag. People begin to buy, and it serves as alternative to imported product. It serves as surrogate to we depending on foreign product. Not that we will not do international trade, because there's no nation that is an island of its own, but at least to an extent, you should be able to satisfy the local market. That is the argument, that individual, from the macro perspective to small and medium development, you should be able to engage yourself with natural resources. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs that the slothful man, roast not that he took from hunting. What does that mean? A nation that is slothful, a nation that is not productive, cannot add value to raw material. That we took from hunting has to do with natural resources. Those things God has blessed us that are with us in our environment. So we must convert them into finished goods, to satisfy our local demand, and by industrialization, sell abroad to get foreign earnings. Yes.
Okay, now could you give us an overview of the Shoemaking Directorate and its mission? I know to an extent some of us have seen what you can do. We have tested it. I actually told you on a lighter note that I'm still waiting for the shoe that will have tires and can take me from Ring Road to Sapele Road without boarding a vehicle. That's on the lighter note. But quickly share your mission and vision and how far you've been able to impact the youths, especially those you're working with.
Yes, Bible said, despise not the days of little beginning. In the 90s, in my secondary school, I began mending of school sandals, because I wouldn't want to ask my father to give me money to repair my shoe, but because my mother was into fashion design, so I would use her needle and trade to try and fix it up. Upon finishing the secondary school, before gaining admission into the university, I started making for my siblings and for neighbors around. And that is how it snowballed. That even when I gained admission into the university, I was doing for my classmates and for my lecturers. And then I have the vision that the leather work, in the future of Nigeria will not just be a vocation that you go to the informal sector to get the skill, but it will be a course in our university curriculum approved by NUC that when you gain admission, you say, what are you going to study? You say, yes, leather works. It will be. That is my vision. And today, it is being offered in our entrepreneurship development center in all the skills in all the institutions in Nigeria. More so, NUC made it compulsory since 2006 that every student in their penultimate year must have entrepreneurship. And shoemaking and leatherwork is taking the lead in one of those vocations. And with what we are doing in the University of Benin Center for Entrepreneurship Development, God bless our director there, Professor Obiagbe. We are doing so what great. And even in the entrepreneurship center in Benin University, where we have Dr. Mrs. Mary there, and the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ikechukwu Ezimonye. We are doing so well in all of these universities. And you need to see that we have a center well built and equipped with all the necessary facility. And we are also collaborating with the Bank of Industry to bring automated machines so that we can produce these things in bulk. Like you've requested, we'll produce shoes that will have tire, that you will not need the fuel subsidy anymore. Once you just get those shoes, it will take you to your destination and
Okay.
all of that.
All right. Let's quickly take this one before we go on break. What are some of the key skills involved in shoemaking and leatherwork that individuals need to master, especially those that are trying to get mastering of this craft?
Yes, it starts from animal husbandry, where we do tannery. And thank God we have a national president in NAPAN, meaning National Leather Association, National Leather Product and Leather Product Association of Nigeria, in the person of Alhaji Mustapha Nembegu, who is doing so much. He is into tannery, and we form an umbrella body in the leather works industry in Nigeria, where we harmonize all associations that are involved in shoemaking, leather processing, to have a singular body called NAPA, National Leather and Leather Product Association of Nigeria. As they do tannery, what is tannery? Where you convert hinds, the raw material, into finished leather product. And from the finished leather product, we will now do them into pattern drafting from foot anatomy, into pattern drafting. Then here you'll be able to get the different components in shoemaking and design, just like in architecture, where you have the AutoCAD software, in drafting designs and all of that. So all of these things are involved in engineering and understanding the segment, the stage by stage, that all these processes have to undergo, before having the finished leather product, from animal husbandry to the leather processing, to composition of the leather material, and to finishing. Then, even when you have made the product, you now come to the marketing aspect, how you get the product to the final consumer. So it's a whole lot of chain that is interrelated, until we get the product to the final consumer. So,
All right. Yeah, Dickie Matthew. Dickie Matthew, we are due for a break, but when we return back, we'll be looking at the economic impact of leatherwork. But that will be right after this break. Do stay with us. Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining, it's still this morning on ITV from our Lagos network studio. We're looking at leatherwork and its impact and the value it's adding in the society. Our guest is doing a very great job, Deacon Ambassador Matthew Ehirobo. Thank you so much, Deacon Matthew, for staying by.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now, what role does the shoemaking and leather industry play in Nigerian economy?
Just like every other profession, the health sector, the education sector, the engineering, and all of that, you agree with me that the Nigerian national debt is now over 100 trillion naira. And that is not funny at all. And that is making us helpless leaving us helpless in the international community, worsening our currency, worsening our national identity, and all of that. So I
Mm,
begin to ask, what is our identity as a nation? What is Nigeria known for? Is it just the oil sector that we've been depending on over the years, and at the end, we are impoverished by the day? We have our debt, national debt, both local and foreign, is beginning to rise every day. So we need to diversify, and I am seeing the leatherwork sector as a major tool in this regard. We need to explore the opportunities, because you see that there is no person that don't have a leather product on him or her, whether be male or female. It be the shoe, it be the belt, it be the bag, even in upholstery, even in your furniture. Leather products and leather value chain have a significant role it plays in our everyday day-to-day life, even
mm.
in the utility that we make of it. So we need to diversify and explore technology in this regard to develop the leatherwork sector, so that we can not just sustain the local market alone, but we'll be able to get balance of our foreign exchange, by the time we begin to sell abroad. Because if your importation is far higher than your export, there is a balance of payment deficit, and that is a on national income accounting. So we need to look inward, diversify the economy, not just in the leather work sector alone. We need to spread our tentacles, into every other sector, because even in the leather sector, it's a value chain. Like I mentioned, from animal husbandry, from farming, cattle rearing. We need to synthesize our people that don't consume the pomo. We are also told that even the pomo has no nutritional value, though it has fiber and all of that in trying to aid the digestion and the excretion of waste in the body. But beyond that, you can eat this pomo in the head of the cow or in the head of cattle, the legs, the tail, but in the thigh, in the belly, the hind, the back, we need it as a raw material, very invaluable, immeasurable in value, in the production process of the leather.
Are you saying we should leave pomo? There are some persons who can't eat without adding pomo to their meal. Are you now saying we should prohibit pomo? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
we should prohibit eating pomo that has to do with the belly. There is pomo in the head of cattle. There is pomo in the legs, e used in matching the ground. And
Mm.
the tail, you can eat pomo in those areas. But the one that has to do with the back, behind, the belly, please leave those one alone. It's a taboo, it's a sin against the leatherwork sector if you consume the pomo in this
Okay,
region.
Dickie Matthew, I wouldn't want us to dwell on this now. But however, let's quickly manage our time. We have less than a minute
Yeah.
to leave the studio. How can young entrepreneurs benefit or tap into the opportunities within the shoemaking and leatherwork?
Yes, that is the awareness we are creating, to let them know that shoemaking is not for mean men, it's not for mediocre, it's not for school dropouts. And that is why I appreciate what Nigeria University Commission has done,
Mm.
by bringing entrepreneurship, for every student before they graduate. So people are students are beginning to embrace it. In University of Benin now, we have close to 200 students as we speak. In Grenadian University, we have close to 100 students as we speak that are doing leather works, bag making, shoe making, and
Okay.
leather belt production.
Mm. Thank you very much. Dickie Matthew, I'm afraid we've actually exhausted our time. Definitely, we want to have you again. Maybe we can have more time to look at how we can live for more alone and have a lot of skin and whatever the raw materials you need for your leather work. Thank you very much, Dickie Matthew Hirobo, for being on the program.
Thank you, Mr. GP, thank you, Nigeria.
We appreciate you for coming through. All right, quickly before we let you go from our Lagos studio, let's give you a parting shot. Every drop of sweat paves the way to the life you've always imagined. Hard work pays, if you ask me. Well, my name is Daniel Praise Osedeba.